doing?
Good. I realize it's 3 games and Latu's played maybe, I don't know, 100 snaps. What have you seen to show you that certainly the game's not too big for him, but that he's ready for this season-long moment?
Well, I think, his attitude has always been so good, right from the start. I mentioned before that it feels analytical, but it doesn't come across that way as far as his play. And I think that same thing, the play that he made in the game, we've seen that happen in practice. And so it was cool to see. And I think for him too, to have a game-changing play like that was big. So he's been very consistent, chap. The guy that we can count on. I think the guys were excited that he was going to play. So brings that kind of feeling to the defense. Hey, Latu's up. That's good. It's always a good thing when you got a guy that can, rush the passer. But I think versus the run, he's done a good job as well.
Quick follow-up. You said, and you've said, everybody says it, you earn the right to rush the passer by stopping the run. I mean, was Sunday the perfect example of that?
Yeah, it was a big play when we needed it. That's for sure. And I think that, if not that they were one-dimensional completely, but it helped that we did a much better job against the run. And, we were able to try to affect him a little bit more. And that's what we had hoped, that if it was those situations where it wasn't a 50-50 time, it was more of a situation where we know it's going to be passed. Now, how do we want to affect him?
Thanks, Gus.
Stephen?
Hey Gus, this is a little random, and I don't know if you have any thoughts, but we were crunching some numbers and saw that so far this season, passing numbers are down pretty significantly, like almost 20% through 3 weeks versus like the previous 10 years, and the rushing numbers are up a little bit. I know there's always give and take, offense reacting to defense and vice versa. Have you noticed anything that may explain that, or just what do you have? What thoughts might you have?
I do see it. The running game, boy, you're seeing some guys rush the ball now, and sometimes that's early, in the season, to establish it. You don't, in training camp, you try to, really to become a hardened defense just by playing the run every day. And you come in the first part of the season and teams want to see how you handle it. But, there's some good running backs in the league. Every week you're facing somebody that has the ability to run the ball and the offensive line. So I think that teams are really realizing it, that if you're one-dimensional, it makes it a lot easier for the defense. So the ability to run the ball and to keep that a big part of your offense, I think, is big. And it seems like teams across the league are seeing that.
Thanks.
James?
Gus, Chris Bradley said, Ballard said before the season that, Latu has this ability to kind of see the quarterback through the guy he's trying to get around. Can you explain maybe how you see it as a defensive coach, and if an example of that was that play that he made on Sunday?
Well, we went into the game, he was so good, extending plays. I mean, that was a big part of it. I thought our defensive line was completely, they were very unselfish. I mean, we made them rush, really speed to power, not really work the edges, try to take the air out of the pocket. And that's challenging for a defensive lineman, to have that kind of a mindset when you want to try to get off the edge. Latu has the unique ability. He played speed to power, but he felt like he could get the edge and took it. There wasn't any thinking of it. He, demonstrated both aspects of our game plan. And right there, I think that was a great example of him, because he did rush a little bit high and he came around the edge, and we needed that. So he kind of can see through the linemen, see through the blocking schemes, when to take his chances, when to stay true to that part of the game plan. He has a good feel for that.
One quick follow-up on that. So that was like an instinctual thing that he did based off of what he was seeing out there throughout the game plan?
Yeah, it was a combination. We had, if you look back at the play, Kenny Moore was up there like threatening the C gap. It was supposed to be a max protection where they double Latu, but Kenny showed a little pressure in the C gap, and it forced the tight end to come off, and he got singled, and then he beat him off the edge. So it was, a good job by Kenny giving him that opportunity, and then Latu taking advantage of it.
Jake?
Hey, Gus. So the guys obviously did a great job last week against the Bears in the run game. But you face kind of a different animal against Pittsburgh this week. How do you make sure they kind of avoid complacency and satisfaction in this?
Well, I don't think we're in any position to be complacent. I think, our guys are on edge about that. They know it was one game. And I think all you have to do is put on the film. They're running the ball better than they did last year. The back is playing better than he did last year. They're a good physical front. So I think if you just turn on the tape and watch these guys run the ball, and the quarterback's always a threat to run it. So we're back into that mindset again that, this is going to be a challenging game for us. And, it's going to be hard to make them one-dimensional. But, we've got to do a great job from the very first play with this running back and with this offensive line, some of the schemes that they do.
Nate,
Along those same lines, Gus, you mentioned Justin Fields and the element of the rushing quarterback. That's a couple of weeks ago you faced that with Malik Willis, and it gave you guys a little bit of trouble. So after you take it a step forward here at the run defense, what gives you confidence that you can handle that part of it when they add the mobile quarterback in?
Well, in some ways, Nate, he was very mobile last week. Now it was a difference, right? It wasn't mobile in terms of him design runs. But in the pocket, you saw the one where Latu, he spun out of there and we lost contain. He ended up making a play. So, it's along those same lines. I think with Justin Fields also has the ability to have design runs, for him. So that will be anytime that the quarterback runs the ball, it creates an extra gap and you got to be really sound. Sometimes it's, by design, the defense, you can take it away. Other times it's going to create, there's another gap created. So, it's effort plays by the defense. So I think it's back to our mindset. We must play fast. And I think we played faster this past week than in previous weeks. And we're going to need that again this week.
Joel,
Hey Gus, for lack of a better way of asking this, just do you guys need to see less plays? You're at 239 offensive snaps or something like that through 3 games. Like you guys got to get the workload down for everybody somehow, right?
Yeah, you're right. That is, you're right. It's almost like we played 4 games by the number of plays, and it's always a health issue. You went back to the beginning, I think the first game when you guys were asking about rotating defensive line. It's hard. Taekwon was spent after that game. He played 60 some plays, 65 plays, and that's a big part of it. I think, one of the things we did have some 1 and outs and we had some 3 and outs, but I think our number overall has to come down. Instead of 6 plays a series, it's got to come down to 5.5. Any way we can get the offense more opportunities on the field is important. So, and, third down, it was 41%. And I think there was 4 missed tackles on third down, which would have got us off the field. Those tackles we got to make so it keeps the number of plays in a series down so we're not on the field as much. So I look at it as more as, what can we control and how can we get that number to be better for us?
Have you felt like did you feel like the tackling got better for you guys this week?
It was better, but still not to the standard. Especially on third down. I thought there was like 3 or 4 missed tackles on times when we could have been off the field and we didn't make it. So it was improved, but still some of our space tackling, we can get better at that.
JJ,
Hey, Gus, I think since you entered the NFL, Mike Tomlin hasn't had a losing season. Just from coach to coach, what do you appreciate about what he's been able to do over so many years in Pittsburgh?
I've had a chance, back when I was in Tampa, I heard stories about Mike Tomlin and just how much of an impact he had with the DBs there during the Monte Kiffin era. And I think, there's a term, consistency creates credibility, and he has been so consistent, and his credibility throughout the league and what coaches think of him and what he's done with that organization is off the chart. So I think, that's someone I hold in very, very high regard just because of things I heard about him in Tampa and now having a chance to face him a couple of times and just seeing what he's done as a head coach. I don't think it's not surprising to anybody that was with him at Tampa to see the success that he's had.
and then last 2, we'll do George and then Kent.
Gus, I know people always say corners have to have a short memory. How difficult is that for younger guys in particular? And what is it about Jaylen Jones that allows him to kind of put that aside and come out and make plays like he did on Sunday?
Well, I think, obviously the first couple of games have been challenging for us. And, I've always felt like, there's going to be uncomfortable times. And if you can protect your spirit through those uncomfortable times, and then there's great growth coming. And I think that's probably an example of Jaylen Jones. It's been uncomfortable. We've been challenging him, more PBUs, be around the ball more, not just cover, try to find a way to make the big plays. And he's had a tremendous spirit, and is to see that come to fruition on Sunday, where there's some great growth on his part, it's a credit to him. And now we just got to, that consistency creates credibility, right? Like, can you do that week after week? And sometimes you don't have those opportunities, but you can create those opportunities just by good fundamental play and execution. So, I think that's his next best step. Is great, awesome. We saw it one game. Now just continue to get better each and every week.
Last question, Kent.
Hey, Gus. As you get ready to play against the Steelers, we noticed that they haven't allowed anybody to score more than 10 points. Does that affect the way you guys scheme defensively, that you can't allow them to get on the board, or we got trouble?
Well, I think, we always try to keep the points down, Kent. I think, in every game we go into, but I do think that we recognize it's kind of, like an offense, when you're facing a high-powered offense, what can you do to keep them off the field for the defense? And I think it's the same thing. We got to create as many opportunities for our offense, series, on the field. It can't be, well, the offense only had 8 series this game. We've got to try to find a way to get off the field, give them multiple series to give them the best opportunity to score.